How you doing, guys? Just gonna give it a few minutes. See who comes in today. Just let me know if you can hear me because I've had some problems with my audio. Don't know whether it's the mic or whether it's the I don't know what's going on, to be honest. I'll just give it a few minutes, wait for everybody to come in. Just let me know if you can hear me. How you doing, Dylan? Dylan, your name, Nicolaou, is that Greek? Mr. Jacobite. How are you, man? Fable, how are you? Adam. Nice one. What's going on, Drake? You're right, mate. Yeah, we're just going to do a little bit of a rundown on what's happened in this previous week, try and get a feel for what could potentially be happening next week or this coming week. Won't be hanging around too long, maybe half an hour, unless we get loads of people that come in, lots of questions and whatever else. To be fair, you don't know where it comes from. The name Nicolaou actually is a Greek name. Amazingly enough, my family name, actually, not my surname, but my actual family name in Cyprus, which is very interesting. This is why I asked you. So, let me just go to the chart, all right, and kind of go through this like boring, long, drawn out process of what Bitcoin is doing to us all, right? It's becoming extremely frustrating, right? And predominantly without patience, it forces people to make mistakes, to do silly things, right? To engage in markets that make absolutely no sense. Like right now, it makes absolutely no sense to even think about engaging in the markets unless you are adding to a position that you absolutely believe in and that you're going to be holding for a long period of time. There's some great discounts at the moment, but you need to stair step your purchases, because if we do get that secondary downturn on Bitcoin and we end up down here at 20,000, then obviously like prices are going to be at an even more of a discount, right? But this last week, this candle right here, if we just define the start of that candle, all right, we go to the daily, we can see that price came up and down. Nothing more, nothing less. Price came up and down. Now, what did this do? Yeah. If we just think of this consolidation that's been super boring for some time. Yeah, this is the start of the week, right? Super boring consolidation, grinding sideways. We just go to chart number 3. Nope, tell a lie. No, this is interesting. What's happened here then? Anyway, it really doesn't matter. The point being, if we do this there, so we can see pretty much everything, right? So we've had this consolidation, just grinding sideways. We finally get a move outside of this consolidation, and then it comes all the way back into the consolidation, right? And I was saying at this point, this level right here, this key level, right, just here, where the impulse started from, right? If this doesn't get trade, like if this doesn't hold, the price is going lower. It's probably just going to go 28,000, right? So the week itself hasn't been great. We've had a little bit of movement to the upside, pretty much nullified the move, so it's come all the way back down into the consolidation, and then pretty much a whole bunch of nothing again, right? So going forward, there's nothing there that we can look at and say that gives, at least for me, it doesn't give me confidence that Bitcoin wants to go higher, at least. Yeah. Even if it's going to go sideways, there's no confidence for me that Bitcoin wants to go higher. any amount of buying pressure, okay, has been met with an equal amount of selling pressure, and it's just ended up right back where we started again. So nothing has happened other than we now have a little bit more confirmation that price doesn't want to go higher yet, if it's going to go higher. This is how we have to look at the markets week to week, day to day, depending on what your time frame is and what you're looking to do. Predominantly for me, I look at each week and I'm like, okay, what did I see in the previous week when I do my analysis and my review for this, for this week? It's Saturday. We've had a nice full week of trading, a nice full week of engagement, whatever. Are we seeing anything that confirms anything, right? So for me, it's like, no. All I'm seeing in terms of confirmation is that price tried to go higher and now it's come back down again. So we have an additional reason now to expect lower prices. Even if it's a small amount, we still have an additional reason, a small amount of confirmation that price doesn't want to go higher, right? Going over to Binance, there's no real change on Binance either, other than it's actually showing a little bit more weakness. And it looks like it wants to continue maybe dipping into and probably end up down here around about 280, right? Again, not an ideal scenario, starting to become extremely frustrating. I don't know if any of you guys caught the tweet that I posted. I actually posted a tweet to some guy called David something, whatever. There was an article in the Washington Post. I don't have the link to it, but there's an article in the Washington Post, right, where, these group of people, whoever they consider themselves to be, 26 of them, right, have been, rallying against cryptocurrency, and they've gone ahead now and they've, sent letters to Nancy Pelosi and some of these other people, in the higher up, so to speak, saying we have to put a stop to this. This is absurd. People are getting burnt, whatever. It's complete horseshit, right? But the point being, this rhetoric now is really being pushed, for cryptocurrency to be, eradicated. Let's get rid of cryptocurrency. We don't need it. We all know why this happens. It happens because they're scared of cryptocurrency. It produces decentralization. It produces problems for the higher ups. They don't want cryptocurrency. What they want is a stable coin they can control, and they want a CBDC that they can control. And then that obviously spills into control, period. So what does all this mean? Why am I even talking about all of this stuff? Because in the end, when we're looking at what we're looking at, and we look at our pairs, we look at our coins, we look at the things that we're looking at, we have to have this in mind, right? That there is this incessant push to try to stop cryptocurrency from moving forward, all the while under the guise of we're going to regulate it to make it safer, right? So there's a lot of miscommunication out there. There's a lot of rallying towards Bitcoin. You've got Fidelity, for example, right, that are saying, at some point you're going to be able to, which will come into force this year, have at least up to 20% of your 401k in cryptocurrency. So that's a choice that you will be able to make, a choice that was never there before, right? So there's obviously some merit, in terms of big institutions looking at cryptocurrency and thinking there is actually something here, we can make money from this for our clients and for ourselves. Because let me be clear, the bottom line is these big institutions aren't interested in their clients. They're interested in making money for themselves, hence why they have clients, right? So for them to stay in business, they have to obviously produce some result for their clients, okay? But in the end, the most important factor for them is to make money and to become more powerful as an organization, as a fund or a hedge fund or whatever the case may be. So with all of this rhetoric going on, how does that tie into the broader market? What can we expect, right, when we see all of this ramp up of negativity towards cryptocurrency? Generally, what tends to happen is cryptocurrency responds in kind by exploding to the upside. We've seen this time and time again. If you look at Bitcoin's history, you can see that Bitcoin has gone through this incessant, obsessive need to get rid of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's crap. Bitcoin's going to zero. Bitcoin's a waste of time. If you really knew who created Bitcoin, you'd all run away and all this stuff, right? And yet, while all of this was happening on Bitcoin down here, 8,000, it went up. When it happened at 14,000, it went up. When it got to 18,000, more news, more negativity, it exploded. When it got to 20,000, we had that first initial drop and that kind of mini crash on Bitcoin that went all the way back down to 8,000. Again, all the naysayers were like, we told you this was going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And then it exploded all the way up to almost a high of 70,000, right? So can we expect the same again? Is the whole point of this rambling that I'm doing right now. Can we expect with this ramp up of negativity towards cryptocurrency and this incessant need to regulate cryptocurrency and force everybody into a box, can we expect this explosive move to the upside as we've seen in the past? I've seen all the figures, I've seen all the numbers. We're seeing an exact fractal, of 469 bars and blah, blah, blah. All of this is irrelevant for me personally. I like to just look at reality, right? And it doesn't mean I'm right. I'm trying to figure out whether or not we're going to see this explosive move to the upside. And I'll be completely honest, I don't think we will. This is just me and my personal opinion. I don't think we will. I think this is different this time. I think what's happening is we are coming closer now to a point in time when it comes to cryptocurrency where there is this, I guess, real need for a little bit of regulation, a little bit of consistency in things that are happening within cryptocurrency to make things a little bit safer and so on, right? The people that take advantage of cryptocurrency in terms of scams and some of the things that happen within cryptocurrency, that will slowly start to, recede, and it won't be as much. But ultimately, the narrative, that Bitcoin and some of the other big players, within the cryptocurrency market are going to cease to exist, for me, doesn't make sense. Because the technology is already being used, not Bitcoin. The technology, blockchain technology, the networks and so on, it's already being used in real world applications, right? So it's not going anywhere. The question is, who's going to control the blockchain or the blockchains? Who's going to control this information, right? That's the key question. And then when you start to think about who's going to control the cryptocurrency market, then you can start to figure out what's the best spot for them to accumulate enough cryptocurrency to control it. Would that be 30,000 roughly? Somebody posted a tweet to me in a response to one of my tweets saying, comment in one of my recent videos about the potential for Bitcoin to go to 14K. And that person was like, dude, we're in a bull trend. Listen to this. We're in a bull market. 30,000 is the turning point, blah, 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 blah. I'm not saying that person's wrong. I'm saying we have to look at reality. Okay. Does Bitcoin, and this is a rhetorical question because I can't see the chat at the minute, but does Bitcoin look like it's bullish right now? Are we seeing any indication, right, that Bitcoin is bullish? I may be proven completely wrong. I might be talking absolute nonsense, and tomorrow Bitcoin absolutely explodes through 48,000 and off it goes. But the key difference with me and a lot of other people out there is I won't do anything until Bitcoin hits 20,000 or 48,000. So I'm already covered both ends anyway. It makes no difference to me. The talking and the videos and the live streams and everything that I do online is about giving people that calm sense of relax. Everything's fine. We don't need to do anything. We just need to, to just chill out. It's not about me. I could turn everything off and walk away and disappear tomorrow, and I still know how to do what I'm doing now. This is about education. This is about producing that kind of calm sense of, understanding of the markets, and then using that in your own personal trading and investing, right, to make better informed decisions, right? Because ultimately, if something happens to me, God forbid, and I'm just like cease to exist tomorrow, you still need to be able to function in the markets. For example, you're not going to stop looking at the markets. So that's you need to be able to know how that works for you and not be dependent on a content creator, me, or anybody else for that matter, right? So unless you can teach people in a way that makes sense and they can use that information for themselves, I don't think it's worth teaching. That's just me. But going back to this comment, do we, is this bullish? No, it's not. We're not seeing any indications of bullishness. We are seeing slight, indications of bearishness. The only thing that we've got going for us really, and it's actually not that great, is that we had this up move, down move, up move, down move. We could potentially have an up move. The issue is this high right here, and the fact that price took it out just here aggressively and then exploded to the downside to pretty much negate the entire move on the way up. This is a problem. This is a big problem because this is objective fulfillment, which means the only place for Bitcoin to achieve objective fulfillment on all of the sell side liquidity that it's picked up on the way down is 20,000. That does not fill me with confidence at all, right? So these are things that we have to be mindful of. Nobody wants to hear it. It's just the reality of the situation. And when you accept reality, you can start to move forward and plan how that looks for you going forward and how that's going to make a difference in your trading and investing. So what to expect in the coming week? we just go to the daily, pretty much more of this. Yeah. Pretty much more of this, sideways, incessant nothing, right? With a potential to drop a little bit lower. If that does happen, I would say probably as low as 28,000, maybe. And if we don't get any response from that, then we're not in great shape, to be honest. We're probably going to end up down at 25,000. So we need to see an injection of volatility come into the market to the upside. We need to see Bitcoin start to be accumulated to the to the buy side on exchanges, and not OTC. Yeah. More OTC orders are just not going to help anybody, because those orders, if somebody buys, a Bitcoin over the counter and then sells it, how's that going to help? It doesn't help the narrative of Bitcoin. And as much as people out there want to toot Bitcoin being like the savior of mankind, the Michael Saylors of the world and so on, nothing against anybody, obviously. The reality is, if in 10 years' time, Bitcoin is sitting at 250,000, fantastic, great, lovely. But how many people is it going to destroy along the way? This is the most important thing. How many people are going to be left holding Bitcoin in 10 years' time? And is Bitcoin even going to be around in 10 years' time? People say it will be. Yes, that's fine, whatever. But we have to look at price right now. And what's price right now telling us? It's telling us in the next 2 to 3 days that we could potentially start to move a little bit lower to take out this low at the very minimum, yeah, which is around about 28,000. So that's a key level I'm paying attention to. And the confirmation of this happening is everything that I said previously. The move up to just the very lackluster move, the fact that it's just been negated now. It's just, we're not seeing any signs of bullishness. All right, guys. So that's a rundown. And I'll be back in 2 seconds. All right, guys. Sorry, I'm back. So yeah, that's a rundown of some of the things, at least, that I'm looking at, some of the things that I'm paying attention to. How you doing, Shane? Yeah, afternoon to everybody. If I've missed any comments, there's not many people here. I mean, these live streams, they're just kind of sporadic. They're the ones that don't really get a lot of engagement live, but people do watch them afterwards, which is cool as well. Vasta, how you doing, mate? You okay? So if anybody's got any questions, I'm going to be hanging around for another sort of 13 minutes or so, and then I've got a lot to do. Just as a quick heads up as well regarding Rematic Finance, and I've said this before, obviously, but I'll just give you a quick update. The contract, again, is still being tested to make sure that it's functioning correctly. And until that is 100%, then we're not even thinking about launching. It would be nice to come on and just, to give you guys an update and say, yeah, everything's great, everything's happening. But you've got to make sure that that's functioning properly, because otherwise, the project's not going to work. But yeah, the testing is going fantastic. Everything's looking good. Once we're 100%, then we can start to put things together in terms of the launch, how that's going to look, what that looks like, and so on. And obviously keep you guys abreast. If you're not in the RFTX Discord, the link's in the description below, or will be when this goes live. And yeah, so I'll just kind of hang around for a bit, wait for you guys to ask some questions if anybody wants to ask anything. And yeah, Robert's saying a new phrase, objective fulfillment. I'd drive you guys crazy with a lot of this stuff, to be fair. And just remember as well, this is all about individual perception. You all see something different. We're all looking at the same chart of Bitcoin, but we all see something different. That's what's important. Yeah, I can go on and on and on all I like, but the reality is I see one thing, you guys see something completely different. The only reason that you guys trust my analysis is because you've seen it verified over time. If this was the first live stream that I did, unless anybody has any idea of what I'm talking about, they'd be like, yeah, this, let's say, for example, I just started this live stream and this was your first, engagement with me personally. This is the first time you'd ever heard me talk. You have your own opinion of Bitcoin. So if I just said everything that I've just said and I was kind of being a little bit sort of pessimistic, Bitcoin could potentially go to 28 and then potentially 25, and you are adamant that Bitcoin is bullish and strong and it's like the savior of mankind and whatever, you're not really going to listen to me. But over time, you've seen this verified, with an incredibly high degree of accuracy. So I have gained the trust of people who watch me to the point where at least you stop and listen. Doesn't necessarily mean you take it into consideration, but at least you stop and listen. And that's the only thing I care about. Stop, listen, and then actually look. Yeah. What is actually happening in the market right now? And it gives you that little bit of relief to say, wait, yeah, this is not maybe as bullish as I thought it would be, and we've got to factor a lot of things, right? The old any publicity is good publicity. Yeah, yeah, sometimes. Like how your initial view on Scratch Engine and NFT evaluation project. I would like to know your initial view on Scratch Engine and NFT evaluation project. Scratch I've looked at. Scratch is basically, if memory serves, they will have a system to be able to evaluate NFTs, in the marketplace. So it's effectively like I don't want to say an auction, but like a stock market for NFTs as sorts. Yeah. There is better out there, but the system and what they're trying to do and so on, yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to go on there and actually look. The only problem with that is when you have an NFT marketplace pricing model, okay, based on a lot of different metrics, for a particular NFT. So let's say you're looking at an NFT and you say, okay, this type of NFT or this NFT is worth X amount based on all of these metrics across the entire market, right? The issue with that is an NFT only has value that somebody will place on that, right? So the issue is if you have an NFT that has no functional value, right, in terms of it's got no smart contract, it's nothing, it doesn't do anything, it's just a picture, right? The value of that picture or value of that NFT is based on what somebody will pay for it, right? So any metrics that you use are going to be subjective. There's going to be no objective value placed on that NFT because ultimately, if one person buys that NFT for 100,000 and the next person says, this is stupid, man. I'll give you $1. And then 100 other people say, yeah, I'll give you $2 for it, and you get a max price of say $10. The 100,000 metric makes absolutely no sense and it won't work. So I know they've probably factored this in. I'm sure, whatever. It is a pretty cool concept. As far as it working, it's not something that I would personally trust. Personally, I wouldn't trust that. Basta. Neil Snowden is asking, have we reached the bottom yet? I have no idea, Neil. I couldn't say. If I told you we've reached the bottom, I'm being serious now. This is a real question, and it's not financial advice or anything silly like that. It's a real question. I'm going to just say it. Yeah, Neil, we've reached the bottom. What do you do with that information? Like, be honest. Engage with me, yeah? Yeah, no worries, Vasta. Plutus. I haven't, Shane. I haven't looked into Plutus. Everybody's going down the same road. This was inevitable, to be honest. You see this here, 20 plus perks on Netflix. There's a company called Market Move. We actually, went through a little bit of vetting process with Market Move and just decided to scrap it, sort of thing. But this kind of perks idea with these NFTs and having a particular NFT or owning a particular NFT and then having perks because of said NFT was always going to be a thing. Funnily enough, and just to mention the Black Card Club from BBFT, Gav, that's his company, whatever. About 4 months ago, I had a conversation with somebody and I was like, do you know what we should do? We should just start an NFT, right? And then go running around to all of these restaurants because I've had like businesses takeaways and stuff like that in the past. And I was like, we should have an NFT, right? And then basically just have a little, QR scanning system inside each shop, produce that, so say for example, you have like a card reading machine, yeah, something like that, right? Develop the software, develop a card reading machine just for QR codes, right? And then when a person comes into your establishment with that, NFT, scans it, whatever, or you scan the NFT to make sure that it's, authentic, like to authenticate the NFT, then you get said discount in said restaurant, right? And then eventually I had this idea to basically go over to, Just Eat, and speak to them about it. I already know a couple of companies out there that are already competitors to Just Eat. I've worked with them before and so on. So it wouldn't really be hard to actually implement something like that, right? And I was saying to him, if we don't do this, I says 100%, somebody's going to do it 1,000 times over. I says, we're not the only people that have thought of this. Trust me. I said, this has been thought of 100 times last year, this year, and it will be next year. And then what happens is you get to a point where a bunch of people do it, a few of them do it well, and then another bunch of people in 6 months down the line do it, but they do it better. And then this whole process starts again, right? And then another bunch of new ideas come, and so on. So that's the way this is headed. NFTs are going to become an integral part of society, right? They're going to be used for a function, for a reason, right? To get perks, to get discounts, to get entrance into venues, to get entrance into VIP, places within the venue, to have different types of levels of access and so on. So any kind of project that is going down that road to do something like this will be a thing. The issue with rewards, this is going to be a problem. Yeah. Unless this is heavily regulated and done properly with compliance and everything else, any type of reward system that is rewarding people in cryptocurrency will be a problem going forward, because that has to be done in a way that, one, is regulated, two, is compliant, and three, that is minimizing risk. So there's no trade involved, meaning when you look at the Anchor protocol, people were getting 20%, right? And obviously Luna's completely gone to shit. It's crashed, whatever, right? This problem that happened with Luna has taken away, and brought to light, taken away the confidence, but brought to light this problem, right, with DeFi yielding, right? In that it's extremely risky, but it's being promoted as it's very healthy, it's easy, this, that, the other, and so on, right? If you want to know personally, right, I look at like Swissborg, for example. The way that they yield is very safe. They're on point. They know exactly what they're doing, right? And I've said this many times. Swissborg dwarfs all of these projects in this, sort of reflection token space. Pretty much a lot of these projects within the cryptocurrency space in general. But these are things that we need to take into consideration, because when you do it right and better than everybody else, while addressing all of these kind of risk issues, then you become the player or players that big organizations, maybe regulatory bodies, come to for information to work with to implement the correct regulation, as opposed to they're just implementing regulation and causing shit for everybody, right? So to go to this really briefly, I'll have a look at this. It does look pretty cool, as a kind of a surface thing. A rewarding debit card for crypto enthusiasts, yeah. PlusDex securely convert between crypto and fiat. Swissborg already does this. To be fair, if Swissborg introduced a debit card, a lot of these companies would just stop, to be fair. Pluton rewards, earn 3% crypto rewards on every. Let me just see. Yeah, it's not the world's first decentralized loyalty rewards token. I don't think it is. Or maybe it is. Maybe. I don't think it's the first, though. I think there's quite a few that are already doing this. It's interesting that they're showing the euro, which seems to be a thing. Stake PLU. So you obviously have to hold the token, enjoy up to 8 perks of your choice. Okay. Monthly spend. Let's just say we're just doing some monthly shopping. I don't know. This isn't working, is it? Let's say our monthly shopping is like 650, just for argument's sake. You earn 3%. Okay, da, 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 da. Yeah, I'll have a look at this, but on the surface of it, I like the idea, but it's not something that I'd be interested in just yet. Oh, this is doing my head in, man. Let's have a look. Yeah, so Neil, to go back to what you were saying, have we reached the bottom yet? And I asked you, obviously, if I said yes, we've reached the bottom, what would that mean for you? And you've put, who knows, it's up to the individual assessment. So you haven't really answered my question. What I was trying, excuse me, what I was trying to get at was this. If you ask me if Bitcoin's reached the bottom and I say yes, assertively, yep, absolutely, guys, this is it, this is the one. That's very dangerous, man. That's very dangerous and very irresponsible of me to do. Even if one person takes that information and buys Bitcoin today, right now, based on that information, that's not going to end well. It's not even a 50-50. You know, you're taking a gamble on somebody's information. I mean, it's looking like Bitcoin wants to go lower. There's no real. I'm not seeing, me personally, I'm not seeing any indication that Bitcoin wants to go higher yet. And because I've boxed it in and said 20K or 48K, they're the only two levels I'm interested in, I can comfortably sit back and not worry too much. Obviously, I come on and I talk about, analysis and stuff, and that's fine. This is my prerogative. This is what I like to do and everything else. And, and I feel over time, obviously, with the analysis that I do, and the results of that analysis being shown in video consistently gives you guys, the confidence to at least listen to me on some level, right? But there's only so many things that I will say regarding where I think certain things are going and so on, because, I have a responsibility to you guys, but more importantly, I'm also an investor, and I use this information that I'm sharing with you. This is the information that I use to make these investment decisions as well. So you guys have put, let me just move this microphone a little bit, guys, sorry. So you've put Ada Cash. And you're saying as well, Neil, you feel that it's a great time to invest now while it's all low. Yeah, maybe. But let me ask you a question. If you consider, this being a pretty decent time to invest, just having a loose conversation, right? You consider that this time is a good time to invest, now while it's all low. Let's say you invest now and it goes to, and we'll just say Bitcoin as an example, goes to 10,000. That comment, I feel it's a great time to invest now while everything is still low, is valid now. It's a valid comment to make now. The feeling that it's low now is fine because we're in that moment. But if it goes to 10,000, this comment's irrelevant. Yeah. And the next person might say, well, I feel like it's a great time to invest now that it's all low. To you, it's like, oh man, this is not even low anymore. This is a complete market meltdown, right? So it's going back to your previous comment, about it being individual assessment. Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is what I'm getting to. Absolutely 100%. It's down to individual assessment, your own opinions, your ideas, and what, that looks like for you, all of us, that is, as people who analyze the markets, right? So the way to get around these problems, because we don't truly know, this is the issue, right? You can do one of a couple of things, either something similar to what I'm doing by saying, okay, look, there's a couple of levels that I'm interested in, and I'm just going to kind of wait for those levels to be either traded to, or close to before I start to think about doing anything. Or the other thing is to say, okay, look, I know that Bitcoin is pretty discounted right now, right? So if we just go up to the weekly chart of this, of Bitcoin, you can say we were all the way up here. It's pretty discounted right now. So you split up your, investment strategy, and you say, I'm going to grab a bit here, and if it does go lower, then I'll grab a bit more. But I'm going to really space it out. I'm going to really use math to my advantage. And I'm going to be careful how I'm adding to my positions, across my sort of whole portfolio. And you plan it out that way. I've had conversations with people who've just bought Bitcoin because it was going down, because they just assume it's like, no, but it's cheap. I know somebody who bought Bitcoin around about 40,000 because he genuinely thought at the time that Bitcoin was cheap. Yeah. Now it's at 30,000. Yeah. I'm not saying he shouldn't have done that. That's not what I mean. What I'm saying is he genuinely had no plan. He was just looking at price and said, well, it was at 70 and now it's at 40. That's cheap. Yeah. So it's a perception of value. Now that it's down at 30, it's even cheaper. What if it goes to 20,000? That's going to be like, I mean, that's insane, right? Like, where does that person fit in? To like, there's no model there for my friend to assess anything, to make an informed decision based on a plan of investment. It's just, I'm going to buy it because I think it's cheap, right? So I think it's important. The point I'm trying to make is to really emphasize to yourselves, whatever your investment strategy is, and stick to it. My investment strategy is 20K or 48K. Yeah. And this obviously spills over into everything in my portfolio because the Bitcoin's like the kind of benchmark for all of this stuff. So yeah, I hope it helps, man. I'm not obviously, singling you out. I'm just going through some things that I know, may help others as well. Can they regulate casinos so I don't lose my money? I'm not a fan of casinos, to be honest, or gambling for that matter. Every time zone, free gender, Ada Cashlow. You work all the time in every time zone. My hat off to you. And it's 6 a.m. here. 6 a.m. Wow. Okay. That was at 1:14, so 6 a.m. That means you are in somewhere in the States, I'm assuming, free gender, yeah? What we got here? I value experience and analysis. On one project, I should have listened to my gut instead though, and that is a great learning experience for me. I have to be able to trust myself at some point. Absolutely, Robert. This isn't easy, man, right? And this applies to everything in life, I guess. There comes a moment where the realization that you will have to make that ultimate decision. You're welcome, Neil. No problem, man. And obviously, if I've said anything that's kind of a little bit out of it, just tell me. I can only go based on what I see on the screen, but you get my point. You know where I'm getting at. I do pay attention to the US monetary policies, free gender. But going back to what you were saying, Robert, we ultimately have to make our own decisions, and this is why obviously, because of the type of analysis that I do, the videos that I do, the live streams that I do, and everything else, it is very difficult for me to remain balanced, right? Because I know, obviously, some of the things that I say people take on board and they use that information to make trading decisions. I can't stop that. I just can't. No matter how many times I say don't do that, obviously people are going to do that, especially when my analysis turns out, and is on point quite a lot of the time. So the balance for me is to really focus on education, right? That's the thing. And the response that you said, that you should have listened to your gut on a particular project, right, is the direct result of everything that you're experiencing, plus maybe some of the things that you've heard me say, plus some things that you've heard other educators say, to get to that point where you're like, okay, look, I can kind of take a lot of stuff from a lot of different places and culminate that and squash it all into something that works for me. A little bit of LSP, a little bit of, well, nobody else really. I'm just kidding. A little bit of LSP, a little bit of this guy, a little bit of that gal, whatever, and put all of that together in my own methodology, something that works for me personally. I might just say one thing about trading psychology, for example, that really hits home with some of you, and you say, "Do you know what? I never really thought about it that way before." Yeah, I'm gonna really think about that, and you add that little nugget into your methodology. But you never, and this goes for all of us, we're never going to get it right all the time, ever. I am really good at this. Yeah, honestly, I am very, very good at this. And I get it wrong sometimes. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. It's just how, it's just how it is. Yeah, I appreciate that, Robert, man. I'm going to throw that on the screen with a big smile. But I appreciate that, man. I really do. I really do. And that's this is what I'm trying to do, right? If I can reach one person, I'm happy, man. I'm happy. Yeah, nice one, Neil. Thank you, man. So yeah, I do pay attention to US monetary policies. I do pay attention to global markets. I pay attention to everything, basically. I'm always reading something. I've always got something in mind. Because the end result for us is that we want to make sure we are as informed as we possibly can, but not inundated with information. This is very important. We don't want to be reading something and just letting that affect everything that we do. Like I said, I read this Washington Post article, that my brother sent over. And while I was reading it, I was like, oh, God, this is just all the same crap that we see over and over and over again. And I just dismissed it because I've got no interest in it. Until we see something on the chart, it's irrelevant. So, Neil, you're asking, do you think you can analyze crypto charts the same as, say, Forex chart, which I've spent years in? Yes and no. The Forex market is so liquid and lends itself really well to this type of methodology, this analysis, this um, understanding of price, the way that I talk about it, right? The Forex market is very good, for technical analysis, for supply and demand theory, for Wyckoff, for all of these different types of methodologies. It really works well in the Forex market. Okay. Cryptocurrency, as long as you understand that what you're viewing is a representation of something, okay, and not a pattern, then it works everything. It just works across the entire asset class, whether it's Forex, whether it's commodities, whether it's crypto, whether it's bonds. It makes no difference. It works across the entire spectrum because it's about understanding what that's representing to you. Just to give you a really simple example, let's say we look at, that candle right there. Price goes up and then it reverses a little bit. So it opened here and at some point ended up here, and then it reversed and closed here, right? So we know when it took out this high, there were sellers that stepped in. This is representative of sellers. Yeah. Then you add another bunch of stuff as well and so on. Now, if you just look at that and say, well, it's an inverted hammer, okay, it's a pattern that is supposed to represent something, but it doesn't represent it all the time. Do you understand? So then it becomes a pattern and a statistical analysis and probability based. Is it going to happen? How many times does it happen based on this particular pattern forming? X% of time, okay, and then and then you apply that logic to your system, and then you turn it on and see if it works, right? Whereas a representation of something that happens when if you're reading price and you say, well, I know that that's actually what's happening. When you arrive at that point, it doesn't matter whether it's a Forex market, crypto market, or anything else, because you're reading people. Yeah, you're not reading price, you're not reading charts, you're not reading candles. You understand? Give me 1 second. Yeah. Wyckoff. No, Wyckoff. 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 Wyckoff theory. It's a good place to start. I like his stuff. Trust me, guys, I've done it all. Wyckoff, technical analysis, indicators, Elliott wave. Yeah. Thanks. Engineer one. Supply and demand, just like everything. I've just studied everything, point and figure charts, bar charts, 26 plus years, obviously. I've done a lot. I've gone for a lot of information. And I've got a hybrid of everything, put it all together, develop the language of price, and that's what works for me, that's an interesting comment, Neil. Yes, at least we don't have bank manipulation on Forex. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. Ready for a spring, yeah. Aren't we all? Yeah, this is what we're waiting for. Maybe it happens, right? I don't agree with that statement. That we don't have bank manipulation in the Forex market. I say it because I've sat with a trader who was responsible for trading billions for Barclays sat next to me. I've given this story many, many times, right? Oh, you do? Okay. Okay, cool. Anyway, I'll tell the story anyway. And some of the things that he told me, about Barclays Bank and some of their practices, in terms of market makers, and not necessarily the manipulation of price, but taking advantage of said situations to come out on the other end much better off and still affect price in a manipulative, in a manipulative way. Yeah, it's absolutely a thing. It's just disgusting behavior, to be fair. Yeah, no worries, Neil. No worries, man. All right, let's visit that one then. I believe we do. I can give you an example with Bitcoin. In terms of banks, I get you. There are no banks at the moment that are manipulating cryptocurrency because there's no banks involved in cryptocurrency. Absolutely. But obviously the manipulation is still there. Even just big institutions buying OTC Bitcoin is a manipulation, of epic proportions because, they're getting a deal on Bitcoin that nobody else has access to. Yeah, Forex is disgusting, man. Some of the stuff that happens in Forex is just terrible. I don't know about this guy called Ruben Free Gender, but yeah, I mean, just go to the source, go to the actual source, read up on Wyckoff. Um, every methodology has value. Every methodology has value, 100%. But it has to have value to you. I don't use trading indicators, right? But it doesn't mean they don't have value. I know traders who use indicators that absolutely annihilate me when it comes to scalping. And that is saying something because I'm a very good scalper. Of all the things that you guys have ever seen me talk about, scalping is something that I don't discuss much because it's very difficult. It requires an immense amount of focus, right? And it's something that I'd even go as far as to say I've mastered scalping, right? I'm very good at scalping. I can consistently take money out of the markets every single day. It's just tiring. I can't do that anymore. It's just so exhausting. You need multiple screens. You need to understand macro behaviors. You need to understand, the correlation between certain Forex currency pairs. You've got to understand and have a very, very good understanding, of the cross relationship between certain pairs, how metals play a massive role in some of these, how the Aussie dollar is controlling a lot of different things, how the Japanese yen is affecting certain things, how spot gold plays a role in all of this, how crude plays a role in all of this. You have to understand all of this stuff, right, to scalp. Yeah. And yet I know people who use indicators that scalp better than me. So it's not about the indicators. If I said, indicators are a waste of time, that's a very ignorant statement to make. But if I said it, indicators absolutely have value, which they do, in the right hands. Yeah. Yeah, no worries, free gender. That's fine. When is a book coming up on LSP methodology? Oh man, I don't even think I have patience or the time to even start thinking about writing a book. Flip me. Can you imagine? That would take years to put together. Oh my god, the amount of information in my head is shocking. So yeah, man, I'm going to leave it at that, guys. I think it's been a decent session. I'm going to go and enjoy a little bit of sunshine, and I'll get this posted. It's going to go live, obviously, once I've stopped the recording or stopped the live thing. It'll be recorded on YouTube for anybody that wants to watch it after the fact. Bit of a muted response this weekend. Let's just see what happens. You know what I mean? I think we may sort of dip into the 28,000 on Bitcoin, and then potentially 25. But again, it's just a patience game. Yeah, engineer, I understand that, mate. Absolutely. How you doing, Mike? We're just finishing up, Mike. Sorry, buddy. Yep, no worries, Shane. Enjoy your day. Yeah, I was out yesterday. Yeah, taking pictures of trees. Yeah, trust me, guys, man. I get plenty of air. I have to. If I don't, I'll go crazy. Picking mushrooms, right? Amanita muscara. Yeah. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. Take it easy, guys. Have an awesome weekend, and I'll be in all the usual places, Discords and whatnot, in about an hour. Take care, guys. See you soon.